Krishna, Radha Rama.
Hare Krishna. Panchakalpatarubhyascha, Pasindubhyeva cha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, गुरु महाराज की जय. All glories to the assembled devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. This is Nandapriya Narmada Devi Dasi from Charlotte, welcoming all of you to the Sangha conference call. I thank you everyone for attending this session. Please forgive me for interrupting your ecstatic chanting. I would like to read the 10 offenses to the holy names which are to be avoided, written by Srila Vyasadeva in the Padma Purana. Number 1, to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord. Number 2, to consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of the Lord Vishnu. Number 3, to disobey the orders of the spiritual master. Number 4, to blaspheme the Vedic scriptures or scriptures in pursuance to the Vedic version. Number 5, to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be an imagination. Number 6, to give some interpretations to the holy name of the Lord. Number 7, to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. Number 8, to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in Vedas as fruitive activities, Karma Khanda. Number 9, to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. Number 10, to not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy name and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success. Krishna Prema. Once again, I thank you all for joining the Bhakti Sangha conference call today. Let us move to our next session, which is Srimad Bhagavatam class. May I know who all have joined the call this morning?
Hare Krishna Nandapriya Narmada Mataji. Dasi from Baltimore, please accept my humble obeisances. All Krishna Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj and all the devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Kamalika Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna. Welcome to the call, Mataji.
Hare
Krishna and the Priya Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Aditi Devi Dasi in Edmonton, Canada.
Hare Krishna, Aditi Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna. Welcome to the call, Mataji.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Nandapriya Narmada Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Vinita Gandharvika Devidasi from College Station, Texas.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna. Welcome to the call, Mataji.
Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. This is Sita Priti Devidasi from Pune.
Hare Krishna, Sita Priti Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining the call. Welcome to the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Nandapriya Narmada Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to all the assembled devotees on the call. This is Anita Ramya from Sharjah, UAE. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Anita Ramya Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining the call. Welcome to the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Nandapriya Narmada Mataji, Dandavat Pranam to you and all Vaishnava. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Vrinda Gopika Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining the call. Welcome to the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Nandapriya Narmada Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, and all the glories to the assembled devotees. This is Manjri Leela Devi Dasi from Naperville. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Manjari Leela Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining the call. Welcome to the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Nandapriya Narmada Mataji, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. My humble obeisances to you and all the devotees. This is Krishna Kumari Devi Dasi from Raleigh.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Kumari Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna. Welcome to the call, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj, all glories to Radha Madhava. Please accept my humble obeisance to you and respectable Zoom devotees who are present today. I'm Chalana Lakshmi from Malaysia. Thank you very much. And Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Charana Sevani Lakshmi Mataji, Danda Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining the call. Welcome to the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Are there any other devotees who would like to introduce themselves?
Hare Krishna Mataji, my humble obeisances, Srila Prabhupada. I'm Radha Vallabh Das from Edmonton. Aditi Mataji has given this link to me. Thanks to her and thanks to all available devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Radha Vallabh Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for joining the call. Welcome to the call, Prabhuji. This is your first time, right, Prabhuji, joining?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yes.
All devotees, please welcome Radha Vallabh Prabhuji by saying three times Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Hari
Hari
Bol.
Hari Bol.
Welcome to the call, Prabhuji. Thank you for joining. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Aditi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. I think we can start the call. Mataji, Prabhuji is already here.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Welcome to Bhakti Sangha conference call. Today we are very fortunate to have His Grace Gauranga Darshan Prabhuji on the call to enlighten us on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, chapter 2, sloka number 42. Yeah, before handing over the call to Prabhuji, I would like to ask Aditi Mataji to go ahead and give a brief introduction for Prabhuji. Mataji, please take over.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you, His Grace Gauranga Das Prabhuji. I'm going to introduce Prabhuji with a brief introduction. He's been here several times and we are so fortunate to have him. So this is a brief introduction. His Grace Gauranga Prabhuji, a disciple of His Holiness Radhanath Swamiji, is the Associate Dean of Academics Affairs of the Bhaktivedanta Vidyapita Research Center at Govardhan Village. He is a member of ISKCON Board of Examination. He holds a master's degrees from the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. He teaches Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, and Vaishnava character courses at Govardhan Eco Village at several places in India. Gauranga Das Prabhuji has written several books, including Gita Subodhini, Bhagavata Subodhini, Chaitanya Subodhini, Disapproved but Not Disowned, Bhagavata Pravara, and the Gita Jewel Box. He has special fondness for reciting and meditating on spiritual verses and has completed shloka books, namely Gita Ratnamala, Bhagavata Ratnamala, Chaitanya Ratnamala, and Bhagavata Tattvamala. He also runs a free monthly e-magazine called Bhagavata Pradipika and regularly writes educational and devotional articles that also appears in the Back to Godhead magazine, international and multiple Indian languages editions. He is known for his lucid spiritual talks with captivating visuals and also presentations that give a bird's eye view of an entire book or a section. So far, he has delivered over 4,500 hours of spiritual discourses. He has guided several students in their Shastic study. He also oversees the deity worship at Govardhan Eco Village. Dandavat Pranam, Gauranga Prabhuji. Please accept my humble obeisances. Over to you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for the introduction. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. We'll start.
Yeah, 1 minute. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Pranam. Please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for giving your very valuable time and association to us this morning and enlightening us on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam. Please take over the call, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Welcome to the call, Prabhuji.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the devotees who have assembled for today's session. Today we are going to discuss on the 42nd shloka of the second chapter of the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Let me recite the shloka. Idam shariram purushasya mohajam yatha prathak bhautikam iyate graham यथौदकैः पार्थिव तैजसैर्जनः कालेन जातो विकृतो विनश्यति. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Just as a householder, although different from the identity of his house, thinks his house to be identical with him, so the conditioned soul, due to ignorance, accepts the body to be himself, although the body is actually different from the soul. This body is obtained through a combination of portions of earth, water, and fire. And when earth, water, and fire are transformed in the course of time, the body is vanquished. The soul has nothing to do with this creation and dissolution of the body. Purport. We transmigrate from one body to another in bodies that are products of our illusion. But as spirit souls, we always exist separately from material conditioned life. The example given here is that a house or car is always different from its owner. But because of attachment, the conditioned soul thinks it to be identical with him. A car or house is actually made of material elements. As long as the material elements combine together properly, the car or house exists, and when they are disassembled, the house or the car is disassembled. The spirit soul, however, always remains as he is. Very simple and straightforward concept, yet it is so difficult to digest it, demonstrate it in our day-to-day activities. The shloka and the purport are very clear in presenting their understanding that in essence, the shloka is saying that body is temporary and the soul is eternal. The soul is not subjected to any material transformations, while the body undergoes several material physical transformations. Body is nothing but a manifestation of a combination of material elements, earth, water, fire, ether, etc. And that body, which is a manifestation of a combination of material elements, will be transformed during the lifetime of a conditioned soul who is entrapped in the body. And at some point, the combination of these material elements is disassembled, or the body is dwindled and it dies, right? So this is a simple concept, but very profound, very deep, very rare to realize this concept. And the Supreme Lord Krishna speaks this Science of Soul right in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. The first lesson of Bhagavad Gita is that body is never alive, soul is ever alive. Body is subjected to death at any time, but the soul is never subjected to death. Lord Krishna, na jayate mriyate va kadachin. This shloka comes in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and it's a very, very profound philosophical truth that is repeatedly presented in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, that the body has no endurance and the soul has no death. So, Prabhupada is speaking something very profound in the purport, that although the body is temporary, the soul identifies himself with the body, and that is the cause of all difficulties in this world. There are some people, souls, atmas, who are entrapped in the body, but they never identify themselves with the body. Prabhupada gives a simple example in the 4th canto of Bhagavatam. He says, you see coconut? When the coconut is very fresh and wet, green coconut, you just pluck it from the tree. Once you open the coconut, the pulp is very much attached to the shell. Okay. And inside the pulp is some sweet coconut water. Okay. But when the coconut becomes very dry, not green anymore, very brownish, not heavy anymore, it's very light. At that time, when you break the coconut, you will see the shell and the pulp inside are disconnected from each other. Right? The pulp inside is no more attached very tightly to the shell. Okay. So now, when you take a dry coconut and then shake it near your ears, you can hear some sound. Okay. What is that sound? The dry pulp inside the coconut fruit is disconnected from the shell, and it's even making sound. Okay. So, a conditioned soul is one who stays within a material body made of material elements and has attachment towards that body. A liberated soul is one who also stays within a body made of material elements but is not attached to the body. Right? So, liberated soul and conditioned soul both can stay within the body, within a material body. But the difference between liberated soul and conditioned soul is their attachment levels towards the material body, right? So conditioned soul is very much attached to the material body. Prabhupada is talking about that attachment. So actually speaking, soul does not have any entanglement. Okay. Soul does not lose its properties just by coming in contact with matter. But this matter covers the soul, covers the pure consciousness of the soul. To further go deep into this subject matter, we can refer to a beautiful conversation that happened between Vidura and Maitreya. In the 3rd canto of Bhagavatam, 7th chapter, Vidura asked some questions in front of Maitreya Muni. Vidura asked, "Oh Maitreya, can you please tell me why the soul, all the spiritual in nature, suffers so many material pains in this world? If the soul is spiritual, how can the spirit soul have any material pains or miseries in this world? And also the super soul is personally present, right? As we constantly hear that the soul and the super soul both are living in the body, in the material body, and the soul is trying to explore the excitements of this material world, while the super soul is just watching the conditioned soul. Okay, we have heard all this. So now the next question is, in the presence of super soul, who is the supreme father of all living beings, how can the children of the super soul suffer? Okay. So in essence, Vidura asked this profound question to Maitreya, that why there is suffering for the spirit soul. why spiritual soul is suffering material miseries. Now, Vidura, when he asked this question, Maitreya Muni started explaining about the Jiva Tattva. He said, actually speaking, there is no suffering for the soul. The soul, who is spiritual in nature, is not supposed to suffer. But because the soul misidentifies oneself with matter, with the material body, that misidentification creates suffering. Okay, it's the conception of the soul that makes the soul suffer, but actually speaking, the soul is Sachidananda. Okay, so it's like he gives some examples also, mainly 2 examples he gives. When somebody's head is cut, can he see himself? His head is cut and the eyes are there in the head, but the head is disconnected from the body. How can the person see himself? Not possible. But if the person is sleeping and dreaming, in the dream, some enemy comes and cuts his head, a person can understand my head is being cut. Okay. Then he becomes very anxious. If a person's head is cut, no more seeing, no more walking, no more touching, no more smelling, no more hearing, he's dead. Right? If a person's head is cut. Right? So he cannot perceive that his head is cut. But if a person sleeps and in the dream, if somebody is attacking him or cutting his head, he can understand that his head is being cut and he will cry, he will scream, he will yell, he will shout and he will seek help. Okay, and he may sweat, he may perspire, and someone will wake him up. Hey, why are you crying? Why are you shouting? Get up, get up. Then he will just get up from his sleep. And when he gets up from his sleep, his head is still there intact. Oh, nobody has cut my head. I just have seen a dream, right? So why this person is so much in anxiety till now? The answer is simple. Because this person who is sleeping has identified himself with a body within his dream, he's suffering, he's perspiring, he's screaming, he's yelling, he's shouting for help. Okay. But when he wakes up, he is no longer identifying himself with the body that is created in the dream. Okay. So he's not suffering. He's not crying for help. Right. So the simple explanation is that the lesson here is that when we identify ourselves with this temporary material body, we suffer. As soon as we give up attachment to this material body or identification with the material body, then there is no suffering. Okay. So another example Maitreya Muni gives. Say moon. Yesterday we had Kartika Purnima, day before yesterday. Okay. So Purnami moon is shining so nicely in the sky. And just imagine there is a lake, water body. And the reflection of the Purnami moon can be seen in the water body, in the lake. Now you throw a stone in the lake. Then the moon appears to be shaking. Okay. So the moon is not still. In still water, the moon is nicely reflected. You can see the moon so nicely. But when the water is shaking, then you will see the reflection also is shaking. Moon is also shaking. Or you pour some red color or blue color into the water, the moon appears bluish or reddish. But the moon is not bluish or reddish or greenish. The moon is not shaking, it's constant. But because you are seeing the reflection of the moon appears shaking. Similarly, when we identify people with their material bodies, then we see that they are suffering, right? Or when we identify ourselves with the material bodies, then we experience suffering. But as soon as we identify ourselves as spirit souls, amshas of Krishna, fragmental parts of Krishna, spiritual in nature, and when we start thinking, feeling, willing, desiring, and acting on that spiritual platform, the material happiness or material suffering will not affect us. Okay? The whole cause of suffering in this material world is misidentification with material body, misidentification with material positions and designations and roles and different upadhis. Bhakti means sarvopadhi vinirmuktam tatparatvena nirmalam. So bhakti means we have to give up all other upadhis. We have to embrace only one upadhi. And that one upadhi is, we are servants of Krishna. Naham vipro na cha narapater napi vaishyo na shudro naham varni na cha grihapater no vanastho yatirvam kintu prodyan nikhila paramananda purnamrutabdher gopi bhartuh padakamalayyor dasa dasa anudasaha. We are not brahmacharis, we are not grahasthas, we are not vanaprasthas, we are not sannyasis. We are not kshatriyas or brahmanas or vaishyas or sudras. We are not Indians or Americans or animals or human beings or birds. We are servants of Krishna. We are the servants of the servants of the servants of the master of the gopis of Vrindavan. That is our original identity. So when we embrace that identity of being servants of Krishna, then there is no problem. There is no misery as such. Now, Prabhupada also gives certain examples in today's purport. When a householder identifies himself with the house, and if something happens to the house, he suffers, right? So somebody earns so much money and makes a beautiful house, apartment, and if something happens to the house, or he painted so nicely the walls of the house, and if someone sprinkles some dirt on the wall appears dirty, then he starts becoming very angry, right? Hey, this is my house. So now, as long as the person is living in the house, he has to keep the house clean. As long as we are living in these bodies, we have to clean the bodies, we have to give rest to the bodies, we have to feed the bodies, we have to keep the bodies healthy. But we should not be attached to the body. So responsibility towards the body or towards the home or towards the different roles and designations that we have in this world should not lead to undue attachments, right? We need to be responsible, but we should not be attached. We should be detached, but we should not be irresponsible, right? So responsibility should not lead to undue attachment, and detachment does not mean irresponsibility. So bhakti or spiritual life means to balance our attachments and responsibilities, right? So we need to fulfill all the responsibilities that we have according to our roles and designations, but we should ensure that those responsibilities do not induce undue attachment within us. We should not be attached, overly attached to our positions, wealth, money, name, fame, prestige, etc. Right? So that over-identification with our roles and responsibilities will create great misery to the conditioned soul. Right? Even in spiritual circles also, despite knowing so much of philosophy, despite knowing that we are not the bodies, despite preaching this point to hundreds and thousands of people, despite studying Bhagavad Gita several times, despite speaking Bhagavad Gita several times, Maya sometimes or many times or almost all the time influences us to think ourselves to be the bodies. Yes. And Maya induces us to overly identify with our roles and responsibilities and designations and become attached, right? Even while practicing spiritual life. So we need to be very, very careful not to allow ourselves to become victims of our material attachments. Okay, we need to consciously give up that attachment. Okay, so now we have this gross body made of earth, water, fire, air, ether, as Prabhupada said in the purport. And behind this gross body is a subtle body. And that subtle body has mind, intelligence, and ego. What does the mind do? Mind's functions are thinking, feeling, willing. Mind is a storehouse of several thoughts, emotions, feelings, desires. But the innocent mind does not have the ability to discriminate whether the thoughts or desires are good or bad, beneficial or harmful, auspicious or inauspicious. Then who does the job of analyzing things? discernment, discriminating between what is right and wrong. Who does that job? In our subtle body, the intelligence. So intelligence is that faculty within our subtle body that does the analysis of what is right, what is wrong, what is beneficial, what is harmful. So mind has a thought, whether it is good or bad, intelligence will decide. Mind has a desire, whether it is good or bad, intelligence will analyze it, right? So we need to sharpen our intelligence by studying the Shastra, and we need to regulate our emotions, regulate our desires, right? So mind is like an innocent, restless, fickle-minded child, right? So to regulate the activities of mind, we need to have sharp intelligence. As you know, in the body chariot analogy, intelligence is compared to the driver of the chariot, mind is compared to the reins, and the senses are compared to the horses, right? So we need to regulate that restless mind by sharpening our intelligence, by studying Shastra, by associating with wise, realized devotees. Okay. And apart from mind and intelligence, the subtle body also has another ingredient, that is the false ego. And that false ego is the binding factor. Basically, ego means a sense of identity. So when we identify ourselves with something which we are not, then it is called false ego. When we identify ourselves with something which we are, then it is called true ego. In short, our true ego is that we are servants of Krishna. And the false ego is all the kinds of designations and roles that we are playing, right? Different upadhis that we have: brahmachari, grahastha, vanaprastha, sannyasi, brahmana, kshatriya, Indian, American, dog, cat, male, female, so many such designations, right? All these are temporary. As soon as the body ends, all the designations end. And even within one lifetime also, we keep on changing our identities. We keep on changing our designations. When we overly identify ourselves with those temporary designations, that is false ego. And that false ego binds us to this material world. Okay. You know that popular story of Narada Muni and Kailash. Narada Muni told Kailash, I will enlighten you in spiritual life. I will teach you Bhakti Yoga. Please come with me. But Kailash said, no, I have to take care of my home. I have to take care of my relatives. Like that, to cut the long story short, Kailash was attached to his home. And because of his attachment, he became a dog in front of his own home that he has made. And after that, he became a snake in front of his own home. So like that, Narada Muni is giving so many chances, but he is still attached to his home and wealth and his so-called descendants and family members, right? So this is the saga of a conditioned soul in this material world. Because this restless mind, fickle mind, has unlimited material thoughts and material desires, and the senses are constantly endeavoring to fulfill the mind's desires, and the intelligence is very weak, unable to control the mind, and the false ego is very strong, engaging the mind in thinking of so many things and engaging the senses in fulfilling those desires. We are struggling in this world, right? So that mind is the cause of all our distresses. You know the story of Avanti Brahmana? He was a very wealthy Brahmana, but this Brahmana is very miserly also. Okay. So eventually, this Brahmana lost all his wealth, and all his relatives and friends abandoned him. Then Brahmana is almost like a beggar. He became a bhikshu. So then he realized, oh, whatever wealth that I have been attached to all these days, it doesn't come with me. It's so temporary. So he realized, and then he started singing a song called Bhikshu Gita. You can find it in the 11th canto of Bhagavatam, 23rd chapter. There, in the Bhikshu Gita, Avanti Brahman expressed his devotion to the Lord. His devotion towards the Lord is born out of his frustrated experience, right? So in life, because of overly identifying himself with the material wealth and material body, he underwent a lot of problems and frustrations. Now he realized, oh, the cause of all my happiness or distress is this body, this mind, material mind, that is the storehouse of unlimited material desires. So, and as he became a bhikshu, beggar, many people started ridiculing him and insulting him. Then he sang this song. One shloka in that song is, Nayam jano me sukha dukha hetur, na devatatma graha karma kala, manah param karanamamananti, samsara chakram parivartayedyat, Nayam jano me sukha dukha hetur. These people are not the cause of my sukha or dukkha. They don't cause me happiness and distress. Na devata. Devatas are not the cause of happiness and distress. Atma, not the soul. Graha, different planets. Karma, even my karma is not the cause of all this happiness and distress. It is, as all these people are, in one sense. Kala is not the cause of happiness and distress, right? So he recognized multiple causes of happiness and distress in this world, like as you see in the screen, Devata, Atma, Graha, Karma, Kala. These are the common causes of happiness and distress in this world. But above all of them, he says, Manaha param karanamamananti. My mind is the cause of all distress. Yes, grahas can influence people, planets can influence people, karma definitely affects people, kala, time affects people, devatas and all the external factors are there, they can definitely affect us. But more than identifying all these elements as the cause of suffering, we need to first understand my own material mind, my own materially infected, defected mind is the cause of all my distresses. Right? Samsara chakram parivartayedyat. So we need to identify mind as the cause. That mind, material mind, which is a very loyal servant of false ego, makes us do hundreds and thousands of materialistic activities and thus get entangled in this material world. Right? So mind is the cause. So how do we come out of the influence of mind? Who controls the mind? Intelligence controls the mind. Okay. Actually speaking, the third canto of Bhagavatam and many other places we see that mind is very innocent. Mind is like a child. But the real culprit is the false ego. When I identify myself as a king, the mind's thinking, feeling, willing are aligned to that identity as a king. But if I think myself as a servant of Krishna, my mind also starts thinking, feeling and willing as a servant of Krishna. So the root cause of all problems is false ego that influences the material mind, that engages the material mind in so many nonsensical, developing so many nonsensical desires, and thus the body and the senses facilitate the fulfillment of those desires as much as it is sanctioned by higher forces, right? So false ego is the real culprit, and mind, which is a victim, which is a puppet in the hands of false ego, is the real culprit. So how do you come out of this situation? By sharpening the intelligence. Let the intelligence be spiritualized by studying Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, by hearing from great souls. Then that sharpened intelligence, spiritualized intelligence, can control the functionings of the material mind. And eventually, material mind also becomes spiritual, right? The desires for sense gratification are like ripples on a river that will never end. Have you ever seen a flowing river without ripples? Not possible. Similarly, a conditioned soul in this material world constantly desires to enjoy in a material plane. The material desires of a conditioned soul are like ripples on a river that will never stop. However, where does the river go? The river flows towards the ocean. When the river meets the ocean, and when the oceanic tides, which are so high, touch the waters of the ocean, touch the waters of the river, the insignificant ripples on the river will not be prominent anymore, right? So the rivers are compared with disciples and the ocean is compared with Guru. River's ripples are compared with the material desires of a person, of a conditioned soul, and the tides of ocean, the big waves of the ocean, are compared with the desires of Guru, the desires of Guru to serve Krishna. So when the river meets the ocean, tides take over and the waves, the ripples will take a low profile. Similarly, when a conditioned soul becomes a disciple of a bona fide Vaishnava Guru, Vaishnava Guru's desires to serve Krishna become more prominent than the conditioned soul's desire for sense gratification. So the solution to control these material desires and regulate these material attachments is to surrender to a Guru. Tasmad Gurum Prapadyeta Jignasuhu Shreya Uttamam. When you surrender to Guru, what does the Guru do? Guru sharpens your intelligence by teaching Shastra. By speaking pure spiritual wisdom, Guru sharpens our intelligence. And that sharp and spiritualized, enhanced, developed intelligence controls the activities of the mind, right? Thus, we can be saved from the allurements and attachments and temptations in this material world. Okay. So, we need to surrender to Guru. So Prabhupada gives this beautiful analogy of, oceans, tides and rivers, ripples in that popular shloka, 4th canto. Yat pada pankaja palasa vilasa bhaktya karmashayam grathitamudrathayanti santah tadvanna riktamatayo yatayo apiruddha sroto ganastamaranam bhaja vasudevam. Yat pada pankaja palasa vilasa bhaktya. The lotus feet of the Lord are like the petals of a lotus. The feet of the Lord are like petals of a lotus. Palasa vilasa bhaktya karmashayam grathitamudrathayanti santa. When you surrender unto the lotus feet of the Lord, our karmashaya, our material desires will be uprooted. Udgrathayanti santa. It's not that the tree is cut. It's like uprooting the tree. The roots also come out. There is no possibility of the roots again sprouting. If you follow the Gnana Kanda, it's like cutting the tree. It's like Venu Gulmam Ivanala. Means when someone follows the Gnana path, it is like burning a tree. In the forest fire, some kind of bamboo trees are burnt, right? It's like that. But when you follow Bhakti path, it is like uprooting the desires of the tree. Uprooting the material desires, okay, which are like tree. But if you follow karma path, what is that? Kunjara Shauchavat. Okay. Kunjara Shauchavat means you perform some material activities and to get rid of the reactions, you may perform another pious activity, materially pious activity, and it's as good as elephant bath. Just elephant takes bath and throws dirt on itself, right? Its body. So the karma path to save yourself from material reactions is like Kunjara Shauchavat, elephant bath. And the Gnana path to save yourself from material desires is like Venugulmam Ivanala, means the bamboos burned by forest fire. But the Bhakti path is like Niharam Iva Bhaskara. It's like the sun is shining so brilliantly in the sky, a drop of dew cannot stay, right? So it's like completely evaporated, right? Bhakti is like that. So when someone sincerely follows Bhakti, karmashayam grathitamudrathayanti santaha, all our aspirations for material enjoyment will automatically be diminished. And that Bhakti is best practiced by hearing from a Guru, by surrendering to a Guru. Okay, so we need to take shelter of a bona fide Vaishnava Guru. The effect of hearing from a bona fide Guru is so beautifully described in the prayers of Prithu Maharaj in the 4th canto. He says, Sa uttama shloka mahanmukhachito bhavat padam bhoja sudha kananilah smritim punarvismrta tattva vartmanam kuyoginam no vitaratya lamvaraihi. Sa uttama shloka mahanmukhachito. When the glories of the Supreme Lord Krishna are being emanated from the lotus lips of a pure devotee of Krishna, Mahanmukhachuto, Bhavat Padam Bhoja Sudha Kananilaha. Those sound vibrations coming from the mouth of a pure devotee carry the saffron dust particles from the lotus feet of Krishna, which they carry in their hearts. And when that sound vibration enters our ear holes, you know what do they do? Smritim punar vismrta tattva vartmanam. Very important line. Someone can show this shloka on the screen if possible. Smritim punar. Smriti means our remembrance. Punar means again. Yeah, this one. See the third line here. Smritim punar vismrta tattva vartmanam. Tattva. What is Jiva Tattva? Tattva means our original truth, identity. We are all servants of Krishna. Jivera Swarupa Hai Krishnera Nityadas. That is our original Tattva. So, but Vismrta, we have forgotten that Tattva. We have forgotten our original identities as servants of Krishna. Vartmanam. With that forgotten identities, we are wandering like ghosts in this material world. Right? Losing a sense of identity. Vismrta Tattva Vartmanam. So, when such Vismrta Tattva Vartmanam means conditioned souls who have forgotten their identities as servants of Krishna, when they hear Hari Katha from a pure devotee, you know what happens? Smritim Punar, they will again remember. Punar means again, Smriti means remember. So they will again remember their forgotten spiritual identities as servants of Krishna. Okay, that's the effect of hearing from a Vaishnava Guru. You can close this screen. So that's the effect of hearing from a pure devotee of Krishna. So when we hear Harikatha from a pure devotee of Krishna, our intelligence is equipped with the necessary ability to regulate the material mind. And we also remember that we are servants of Krishna. We are all servants of Krishna and not Brahmanas or Kshatriyas, not Brahmacharis or Grihasthas, not men or women, not Indians or Americans, not animals or human beings. We forget all these temporary identities. We may do the needful to fulfill those responsibilities as a part of Swadharma, as a part of our living in this world. But our real identity is servant of Krishna. Right? We remember that when we hear Harikatha from devotees. Right? This material world is like a salt mine. The 6th canto of Bhagavatam gives this analogy. Whichever corner you go in the salt mine, you will only find salt. You cannot find sugar. You cannot find jaggery. Right? You cannot find kadi shakkar. You cannot find gulab jamun or rasmalai or laddu or chakra pongal or whatever sweets that you have. Salt everywhere. Similarly, Brahma bhavana loka punaravartinorjuna mamupetyatu kaunteya punarjanmana vidyate. Brahma bhavana loka, and right from this lower planets to the topmost planet of Brahma loka, in this material world, there is repeated birth and death. Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. There is repeated miseries, right? Miseries and temporariness, repeated cycle of birth and death. These are the qualities of this material world. How can we expect any happiness in this material world? But only when we practice the process of bhakti under the guidance of a bona fide Vaishnava Guru, by hearing from the Guru, by serving the Guru, by serving according to the instructions of Guru, then we have a possibility of entering the spiritual world, which does not have any miseries, right? So, na tad bhasayate suryo na shashanko na pavakaha yad gatva na nivartante tadhama paramam mama, right? Na tad bhasayate suryo. In that spiritual world, which is the abode of Krishna, there is no need for sun, no need for moon, no need for electricity, no need for fire to give light. Yes, all these exist. In the spiritual world, there is fire, definitely. In the spiritual world also, there is sun and moon. There is daytime and nighttime. But they are there only to facilitate Krishna's pastimes. Krishna wants to have some very nice pastime with Srimati Radharani or the gopis. Then the moon manifests there. The spiritual moon in the spiritual world manifests just to give that Purnami effect so that Krishna can happily enjoy his pastimes. But the survival of the residents of spiritual world is not dependent on sun and moon as it is true in the material world, right? So anyways, so the main point here is hear from a bona fide devotee of Krishna. Okay, then we will remember our real identity. And we'll understand whatever is happening in this world, whether it is a happy thing or a distressful thing, whatever is happening in this world is just a manifestation of the material modes. Guna pravaha etasmin kahashapaha konvanugraha kahasvargo narakaha kova kim sukham dukkhamevava. Chitraketu Maharaj says this in the 6th canto of Bhagavatam. He says, Guna pravaha etasmin, it's just like a pravaha, the flow of modes, the material modes. Guna pravaha etasmin. Whatever is happening in this material world is just a pravaha of gunas, the flow of material modes, sattvarjas tamo gunas. So, whatever is manifested by sattvarjas tamo gunas are temporary. Kahashapaha konvanugraha. Okay. What is blessing? What is curse? Kasvargaha narakaha kova. What is svargalok? What is narakalok? And kum sukham dukkhameva. What is happiness? What is distress? So these dualities of happiness, distress, heaven, hell, and blessing and curse, happiness, distress, success, failure, victory, defeat, they have no permanent effect in this world, right? They exist. Agama, apayino, anityaha. They come, they go. They're temporary in nature. Okay. So, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, he says, Matra sparshastu kaunteya sitoshna sukha dukkhadaha agama apayino nityaha tam stitikshasva bharata. Happiness and distress just come and go. Just learn to tolerate them, right? So you have no other option but to tolerate them. Happiness is temporary. Distress is also temporary. What are we supposed to do? Just do the needful. When there is happy moment, don't become so elated, so overexcited. Don't become so overconfident and proud. And when there is distress, don't become so demotivated or depressed or dysfunctional. Just understand both are temporary. Whether you are sitting in an AC compartment or a sleeper compartment or a general compartment, you are sitting in the train only, right? Whether you are experiencing happiness or distress, both are material and both are temporary. Don't get overexcited. Yeah, you can rejoice a happy moment and you deal with distressful moment, but there is no point becoming overly identifying oneself with those happy or sad moments, right? Don't become proud in happiness. Don't become depressed in distress. Don't become dysfunctional. Don't become demotivated. Don't become discouraged. It's just a phase. Today there is unhappiness. Tomorrow it will go away. Right? Today there is happiness. Tomorrow it will go away. So we need to understand that unless we remain unaffected by the material happiness and material distress in this material world, how are we ready for the spiritual platform? Yam hi navyatha yantyete purusham purusharshabha samadukha sukham dhiram somritatvaya kalpate. Samadukha sukham dhiram, one who has learned to see happiness and distress on the material plane as equiposed. Same, similar. Such a person is qualified for immortality, liberation, right? If you are getting overly affected by happiness or distress on the material plane, if the distress is having a deep impact on our hearts, how can we be ready for the spiritual world? Right? We cannot be ready for the spiritual plane. We should become oblivious. Just like a drunkard who drinks alcohol in the material world, becomes oblivious to all the comments and things that happen around him in his surroundings. Similarly, a spiritual drunkard who drinks Krishna Katha, Pibata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam, should become oblivious to the material happiness and distress in this world. Neshye bhavad guna katha amritapana matta. So our Dhruva Maharaj says, Bhaktim moho pravahatam tvayi me prasango bhuyadananta mahatam amalashayanam yenanja solbana muru vyasanam bhavabhyam neshye bhavad gunakatham rutapana. He says that I become totally oblivious to the happiness and distress in this material world because Bhavad Guna Kathamrita Pana Mattaha. I have become intoxicated. Matta means getting intoxicated. Pana means drinking. By drinking alcohol, materialistic people will become intoxicated. But by drinking the nectarian narrations of Krishna's qualities and pastimes, a devotee will get spiritually intoxicated. Mattaha. Such a spiritually intoxicated devotee will become oblivious to the surroundings in the material world that are filled with the dualities of happiness, distress, victory, failure, success, defeat, all this. We become oblivious. We should become oblivious like that. We cannot change this material world. We cannot make the salt mine appear sweet. We cannot make the salt mine produce sugar. We cannot make coal appear white. You can put some paint for a while. How long the paint will remain? Coal is coal. Right? So don't have undue expectations from this materialistic world. It can never satisfy your heart. It can never satisfy the soul. Never expect an ideal situation in this material world. Even if you are practicing bhakti, there is nothing ideal in this material world. The so-called ideal situation, which may even manifest at times, is also temporary. Okay. So don't be perfectionist. Don't be idealistic. Just do the needful to survive in this material world. Be as perfect as possible, as humanly possible. Okay. But understand, this is not a world for perfection. The perfect world is there. Aspire to go there. For that, we need to cultivate all these qualities of Nirmana Moha Jita Sanga Dosha Adhyatma Nitya Vinivritta Kamaha Dvandvair Vimuktaha Sukha Dukha Samnyer Gacchantya Mudha Padamavyayam Tat. To attain the Padam Avyayam, the infallible position at the lotus feet of Krishna, we need to cultivate bhakti, we need to cultivate Vaishnava qualities. Nirmana, no false ego. Moha, no illusion. Nirmana moha jita sanga doshaha. Conquer the faults of bad association, means overcome this bad association. Don't associate with people who have the qualities like envy, pride, greed, lust, etc. Just stay away from them. Nirmana moha jita sanga dosha adhyatma nitya. Be in spiritual consciousness. Vinivritta kamaha. Give up all the kama, materialistic desires. Dvandvair vimuktaha. Be detached from this dvandvas. Dvandvas means dualities. Dvandvair vimuktaha sukha dukkha samnyair gacchanti amodhaha padamavyayam tat. Then only, when we become oblivious to the material dualities in this material world, we become eligible to enter the spiritual world. Samatvam yoga uchyate. That is real yoga. To connect with Krishna means yoga, right? So if you want to consider yourself as a yogi, bhakti yogi, then you should maintain the quality of samatva. You should develop the quality of samatva. Samatva means equanimity. Whether it is happiness or distress, success or failure, I will see it from an equal perspective. Equanimity. So under the guidance of spiritual master, we should hear Harikatha, we should sharpen our intelligence, we should regulate our minds, we should give up our attachments. Then we are eligible for immortality, right? So the Lord is so kind. The Lord is extremely kind that if you just render little service to Him, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Prayachati, just show some little bhakti, show some sincere devotion. You may not offer something very expensive to Krishna. Your offerings may be very simple, very inexpensive, but still, if there is sincerity in purpose, if there is genuine love, Krishna will become pleased to accept it. To the degree we are sincere in making our offerings, to that degree Krishna becomes excited to accept our offerings, right? So unfortunately, in this material world, even those people who go to Krishna, to worship Krishna, to make some offerings to Krishna, They expect something material from Krishna. Krishna doesn't understand where I have to laugh or cry at this fellow. He is coming to me and I have the ability to take him to the spiritual world, and he's again asking for happiness in this material world. Such an illogical expectation from Krishna. Krishna, please give me happiness. Please give me wealth. That wealth is useless. The followers are useless. The money is useless. Position is useless. Status is useless. All of them are temporary. When you go to the supremely spiritual Lord, do we ask these kinds of benedictions? Right? That's why we have been celebrating Kartik month in the last 1 month. Every day we are singing Namo Kshegraho Mesti Damodareha. Devotees don't even want moksha. Forget material happiness. They don't even want moksha also. Right? Nakama ye natha tadapyaham kvachin nayatra yushma charana ambujasavah mahattamantar hridayan mukhachito vidhatsvakarna yutameshamevara. Right? So devotees don't aspire for liberation or material happiness. They aspire for millions of years to hear Harikatha spoken by pure devotees of Krishna. So Krishna is satisfied even with your little sincere offerings when there is selflessness. Tadaham bhakti upahritam. Upahrita means gifting. Upahar. When you gift something to your friend, do you expect something back from him? And if you expect something back from your friend, can that be called as gift at all? Similarly, when you offer something to Krishna, don't expect anything back from Krishna. Don't make bhakti sakama bhakti. So let the bhakti be pure, be sincere, be selfless, unmotivated, uninterrupted, seamless, causeless, ceaseless. Then Krishna becomes so excited to give us entrance into the spiritual world. But while worshipping the all-spiritual Supreme Lord Krishna, if we still expect something material from him, then the whole purpose of bhakti is kind of defeated. Of course, that is better than being atheist. Okay, but nevertheless, that is not the best. The best thing is serve Krishna just for his pleasure. Samsiddhir haritoshanam ataha pumbhir dvijasreshta varnashrama vibhagashah swanushthitasya dharmasya samsiddhir haritoshanam. Whatever duties that we perform in this world, we need to perform them just for the pleasure of Lord Hari. It's easier said than done. But someday we have to do it. We have to worship only Krishna. We have to do whatever we are doing only for the pleasure of Krishna. Unless we come to that level, where is the possibility of getting relieved from this material world and entering the spiritual world? Right? So let us not be overly, unduly attached to the temporary pleasures of this material world. Let us sincerely, consciously cultivate the detachment from the material world. So Krishna is pleased with even simple offerings. He's not expecting so many things from us. So there is one beautiful shloka. Nathena purushottame trijagatam ekadhipe chetasa sevye svasya padasya datari pare narayane tishtati yam kanchit purushadhamam katipaya grameshamalparthadam sevayai mrgayamahena ramaho mudhavaraka nathena purushottame trijagatam. The Supreme Lord Krishna is the Natha, the Supreme Boss, or the proprietor of Trijagati, all the three worlds. Nathena purushottame trijagatam ekadhipe chetasa. One and only proprietor, adhipa, controller, director, master of all the three worlds is Krishna. Right? Sevye svasya padasya datari pare Narayane tishtati. Sevye. If you do seva to that Lord Krishna, svasya padasya datari pare. He will give his own abode to you. You just make some offering to Krishna, he will give himself to you. And here is one important keyword. Nathe naha purushottame trijagatam ekadhipe chetasa sevye. Even if you do your seva within your mind, not even physically, even if you offer patram, pushpam, phalam, toyam to Krishna within your mind with sincerity, Krishna will accept that also. Right? Krishna is not saying, I will accept simple offerings. Yes, he will accept simple offerings. Even if you make that simple offerings in your mind also, I will accept. All I want is your love, not your offerings. I have all of them. I'm Lakshmipati. I have all that you can give me. Whatever you are giving me is what you have taken from me only. Right? So what we give to Krishna is what Krishna has given to us only. He may give us a house, we may give one room in that house to Krishna. He may give us land, we may offer some grains that we grow in that land to Krishna. He may give us 10 cows, we may take 1 cup of milk from that cows and give to Krishna. He may give us unlimited gold, we may make a necklace and offer it to Krishna. What we are offering to Krishna is what we got from Krishna only. What can we offer to Krishna? Right? But what is there that we can uniquely offer to Krishna, which belongs to us, which Krishna has not given us yet? You know what is that? Love. So Krishna has given us some independence, some svecha, some free will. We should utilize that free will to sincerely desire to serve Krishna. That sincere desire, sincere intent, sincere purpose, sincere voluntary spirit to lovingly serve Krishna is what Krishna is expecting from us, nothing else. Right? So the expense of your offering doesn't matter to Krishna. You may be a squirrel pushing some small pebbles and sand particles for the construction of Ram's bridge. Or you may be Hanumanji, getting big boulders and mountain peaks and big trees for the construction of that bridge. If you are serving Krishna to the best of your ability, capacity, with sincere love, Krishna will accept. Right? Even if it is within the mind, he will accept. You know that Pratishthanpur Brahmana, he was making sweet rice for Krishna within his mind. Okay. So within his mind, he made sweet rice for Krishna. No rice, no milk, no sugar, no ghee, nothing was there, no fire only. Nothing was there. He closed his eyes. He was imagining that he is making Krishna. He is making sweet rice for Krishna. And he wanted to offer it to Krishna. Once it becomes cool, he just touched that sweet rice and his hand got burnt. Okay. Really, the sweet rice that he has made was in imagination, but the hand got burnt really. So then the Lord has sent his Vaikuntha airplane to take this Pratishthanpur Brahmana to the Vaikuntha. And that is not an imagination. Really, the Vaikuntha airplane came. Okay. So we need to understand Krishna's heart. By sincerely studying Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, we get to understand what's there in Krishna's heart, what Krishna is expecting from us, what Krishna is wanting to give us, offer us. So, keeping aside all our misidentifications with matter, material designations, if we just consider ourselves as servants of Krishna, embrace those identities, and do our best within our capacity, God-given capacity to serve Krishna, that helps us achieve the real purpose of life. Nothing else is required. So that sincere service, sincere hearing is how we make a connection with Krishna. And another most effective way of connecting with Krishna is chanting the holy names of Krishna. When we chant the names of Krishna, we get connected to Krishna. Vishnurnamaiva pumsam shamalampaharat punyamutpadayaccha. So when we chant the names of Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna, all the mala, all the contamination within our hearts is completely eradicated. Vishnurnamaiva pumsam shamalampaharat punyamutpadayaccha. Brahmadisthana bhogat virati matha guroh Shripadadvandva bhaktim tattvajnanam cha Vishnor ihamriti janana bhranti bijam cha dadvam. Tattvajnanam cha Vishnor. When we chant the holy names of Krishna, One thing, the contamination in the hearts is completely eradicated. Second thing is, we develop devotion to the lotus feet of our own gurus. And we develop detachment from even great exalted position of Brahma also. Brahmadisthana bhogat viratim. Virati means lack of attraction towards the sthana of Brahma also. Brahmadisthana bhogat viratim atha guru shripadadvanva bhaktim. And also we get attachment to the lotus feet of Guru, right? Kali Yuga contamination is removed. Guru Bhakti is attained. Detachment from any position in the material world also we can attain, right? Then Tattva Gnanam cha Vishnor. Tattva Gnana, we understand the real Tattva of Vishnu. Tattva Gnanam cha Vishnor. Then Virate. Tattva Gnanam cha Vishnor. Ihamriti Janana Bhranti Bijam cha Dagdha. Ihamriti Janana Bhranti. Bijam cha dagdva. So there is bhranti. Bhranti means illusion. In this material world, I can get some happiness. That is a bhranti, right? That's our bhram. So ihamriti janana bhranti bijam cha dagdva. So that bhranti is also destroyed by sincerely chanting the holy names of Krishna. Our illusions are destroyed, our miseries are destroyed, our attachments are destroyed, and we develop bhakti unto the lotus feet of Guru. Thus, we can attain the lotus feet of Guru, attain the abode of Lord Vishnu. All this can happen just by chanting the names of Vishnu. Sampurnananda bhoge, sampurnananda bodhe, mahati cha purusham sthapayitva nivittam. We will be established in our original glory of being in the company of the Lord, rendering service to the Lord. We will become completely aware of our actual position, never to be deviated from that awareness or realization, and we attain perfect transcendental bliss in the association of Krishna by chanting the names of Krishna. So let us chant, let us hear, let us serve, let us be connected to Krishna. Let us give up all attachments, right? So these are a few thoughts based on the shloka and purport that we saw today from the 7th canto. Thank you so much. Grathara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for this very nectarian class. Prabhuji, can you please tell us where the last verse was quoted from?
Padyavali.
Okay.
Goswami's Padyavali.
Thank you so much. Sorry about that. Anita Mataji, are you there? Yes.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for so much nice instructive class with all the verses which you have quoted, starting from Avanti Brahma and concluding with that sweet rice fasting, which is offered in the mind by a Brahma also. So whatever it is, the mind is the cause of everything. So we have to tune the mind with the intelligence by turning it towards spiritual. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for such a wonderful class. There is a hand raise. iPhone, Prabhuji or Mataji, please go ahead. You got muted. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Your lecture was very wonderful as usual, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, can I ask you 2 questions? Prabhuji, I've just started reading the stories of Bhagavatam, so I don't know much about it. So I just wanted to ask you that I read that Vidura was when Vidura returned from after meeting Maitra Rishi to Hastinapur. So Yudhishthir Maharaj addressed him like he was kind of partial to Pandavas. So why did he say that he was partial to Pandavas?
It's not literally to be taken as partiality, and even if you take so, nothing wrong. because it's natural for great souls to take the side of righteousness. It's not a partiality from a material sense where, say, the father is giving more attention to the elder son and neglecting the younger son, or Uttanapad Maharaj, who had two wives, Suruchi and Suniti, he gave more attention to Suruchi and neglected Suniti. It's not that kind of partiality. So Vidura understood that Pandavas are very righteous, very virtuous. Naturally, he wants to support them, favor them. And Duryodhan, Dushasan and all these 100 sons of Dhritarashtra, they are adharmic. Vidura didn't take their side. So apparently it seems partiality. He's partial towards Pandavas and he's not so much in favor of Duryodhan and party. But it's natural for a great soul like Vidura, Mahatma Vidura. Makes sense, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Very nice explanation you have given. Prabhuji, and I had one more question. Like, what is the meaning of pure name? Like, when we chant without those 11 or 10 offenses, that is pure name. Because 11th offenses is like we need not touch our cell phones. This was the 11th offense. Like when we follow 11th of when we follow the 11th of 11 offenses, and when we don't do those aparad, then that is pure name, or is there any other meaning of the pure name chanting?
When you say Shuddhanam, pure chanting of holy name, that basically means offenseless chanting. Yes, that is correct. And like lack of offenses is one aspect of that pure chanting, but the main aspect of that pure chanting is having sincere love and affection for Krishna. That's a positive aspect of it. Okay. So I can say I don't have a headache, but I can also say I'm healthy. So like pure chanter doesn't commit offenses, but that's not the only description. Pure chanter is one who has genuine love for Krishna, right? And one who has genuine love for Krishna naturally would not commit any offenses towards Vaishnavas or towards anything. Okay, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Very beautiful reply, Prabhuji. Jayanti Singla Mataji, please go ahead. Jayanti Singla Mataji, you're there? Okay, I'll come back to you once again. Please be ready that time. Shukakar Krishna Prabhu, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Gauranga Darshan Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Such a wonderful class, Prabhu. Prabhu, you told that devotees we are not supposed to desire anything because Krishna is going to take him to his abode. But within this material world, we are supposed doing some business, and we are not doing it to just have enjoyment and sense gratification, but for the pleasure of the Lord, we have to live here. So is it asking that, yes, let this happen, so that, and it's a temple-related work. Some license has to come where a temple is going to, is it wrong or not to ask?
Definitely not wrong, Prabhu. Definitely not wrong. Whatever we are doing here in this material world, whatever we are desiring in this material world for the service of Krishna is actually a spiritual activity. It's a spiritual desire. Okay. So devotee is desireless. Devotee has spiritual desires. Devotee, soul means soul has the ability to desire. Soul has the inclination to desire. Desireless being cannot be called a living being. Okay, this mouse has no desire. Okay, this phone has no desire. This bottle has no desire. But a living being has desire. Okay, and for a devotee, that desire is spiritual. Desire to serve Krishna.
Yes, another thing is, now we are asking, I am asking every day, I want to go back home, back to God, I don't want to come back. I'm not supposed to ask that also. Krishna will do whatever he wants. But I am selfish. I don't want to come to the miserable world. I know every step is
padam. At this moment, you may desire like that, not a problem. If Krishna desires, we may get a deeper or higher realization, but it's okay. That's not a very objectionable desire in spiritual circles, desiring to go back to Godhead. Okay, but ultimately we also have that understanding that let Krishna decide. That is good.
That's why that's wrong. In the sense, I know I'm asking wrong. Some people say that you should leave it to Krishna. If you have to take 100 life, take it and make him happy. But I am not of that level. I know that I'm seeing so bad things are happening everywhere. I'm sorry. I'm begging to Krishna. I want to go back.
Yes, no problem. Please continue to beg Krishna.
Thank you,
that.
Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Aditi Mataji, please go ahead.
Shamagori Mataji is waiting.
Yeah, Shamagori Mataji is there. Yeah, Shamagori Mataji.
Yes.
Mataji in Pune.
Then it was not there, so that's why I didn't.
She's not. I saw her raise hand.
Her hand raised. It was raised hand before.
That's okay. Anyway.
Aditi Mataji,
Mataji, you go ahead, Mataji. I will talk with.
Yeah, okay. The Aditi Mataji, please go ahead.
Okay. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam, Gauranga Charandas Prabhuji. Please accept my humble obeisances. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. What a nectar in class, Prabhuji. There are so many points. Like these were the questions in my mind. Actually, I wanted to ask, and you answered everything in this shloka. Yeah, the most interesting was the spiritual drunkard. We need to be spiritual drunkard, so that we forget about all those negative things around us going on. But what a beautiful class. I listened to your lectures even on the TV. Yeah, as a matter of fact, yesterday itself I was listening on the Hare Krishna channel. You are such an inspiring devotee, exalted devotee, Prabhuji. I don't want to say more because your katha speaks louder. Your Hari Katha speaks how exalted devotee you are. Please keep inspiring us, Prabhuji. This class was so nectaring. I wish it had not stopped because it answers each and every question which is in our mind. There were so many things which I always keep wondering, why is this like that? Distress and happiness, which you explained it so beautifully. These are all temporary, but we don't accept that. We don't want to believe that, right? But you've explained it so beautifully, Prabhuji. I am so thankful and grateful to you. Koti koti pranam to your lotus feet, Prabhuji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji, for remembering that point of the drunkard. I was also about to mention about that. So, like how that drunkard is oblivious to his surroundings. So, we have to also be oblivious by hearing and get intoxicated by hearing Krishna Katha, not about the material happenings, whatever. So, yeah, we should be thankful to Prabhuji for his wonderful class. Very nice descriptions. So, there is a chat question, Prabhuji. So, like how that drunkard is oblivious to his surroundings. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Some echo is there, I think. Yeah. So there is a in the chat box. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. How is in the Bhagavad Gita, there is a description of soul. How the subtle body looks.
Subtle body is not visible to the eyes. That's why it is subtle. There is no shape. You cannot say square, circle, rectangle, size, shape. It's not that subtle. It does not have a shape, but it exists. Ghosts wander in subtle bodies, but they are not grossly visible.
Okay. Then Divya Gaurangi Mataji is also praising about your class. So I can see more raised hands. Krishna Prabhu, you have more to say?
Yeah. Actually, Prabhu, your books are also very good. That Bhagavad Gita book you written and the Bhagavatam only 9 canto, 10th have written. I'm waiting for the 10, 11, 12.
10th canto part is ready, Prabhu.
Super. It is so clearly given. It's really a gift to the whole world. And I'm seeing you as a very great Acharya Guru all over the world. The way you are going fast pace after 5 years, 10 years, you will be like Prabhupada.
No. We are also nice.
Thank you, Prabhuji. We see Shri Shokaneshwar, Samruddha and Avni, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna. Hare
Krishna,
Jai.
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Shri Shat Mataji, can you please wait? We can give chance to Samrita and Avini Mataji. Then after that, we can call you. Yeah.
Hare
Yes,
Krishna,
ma'am.
Prabhu. It was very pleasing lecture, Prabhu. It was very nice. Actually, now in my life, it's a little of struggle, Prabhu. 2 years it's been I've started Krishna consciousness. And now in the middle, my father-in-law passed away. So my husband started being unsupportive, showing all the opposite thing, whatever. Not exactly it should be related to Krishna conscious. Normal things also, he's like, whatever you do, it's not right. Like that, he's opposing me. So sometimes I could handle it. Sometimes it affects my sadhana. Sometimes even a normal situation also, I'm complicating it. Like before yesterday also, we had a big fight. So I could have handled it better. But at that moment, I lost myself. So I got advice from all the devotees. I asked for help. Everyone helped me out. But still, somewhere I felt like I'm missing out something. When the point is coming, the test point comes, I'm losing myself. That time, how I should be, Prabhu. My sadhana is very poor, Prabhu. It's like sometimes I feel he's disturbing my sadhana. I feel like that. But I think that is wrong. The sadhana is in my hand. But sometimes I blame him and like, you're disturbing me. It's like the anger is coming out so much. How should I handle this, Prabhu?
Yeah, it's a very practical question. And not only you, there may be different people in this world who may face this kind of unpleasant situations. Now, in the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram. Whoever remembers me at the time of death will attain me. In the next shloka, 8.6, Krishna says, if you remember something else other than Krishna, you will attain that. Just like Bharat remembered a deer, he became a deer. In the 7th shloka, 8th chapter, I'm speaking 8.5, 8.6, 8.7. In the next shloka, Krishna says, what are we supposed to do to remember him at the time of death? Okay. We are supposed to practice remembering Krishna by hearing, chanting, etc. throughout our lives. Okay. He says, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmarayudhyacha. So when we practice chanting the names of Krishna, hearing about Krishna and remembering Krishna throughout our lives, then there is a possibility of remembering Krishna at the end of our lives when we are leaving the bodies. Now, how is it relevant in your current context? Because you have asked, yeah, I know, I understand things, but when the actual moment comes, I sometimes react in a certain way. So, it is said that all our hearing, chanting, shastric study, sadhana should culminate in this. We should be able to act appropriately on the spur of the moment. Okay. Oftentimes, life throws at us situations where we don't have so much time to prepare or do some rehearsal, right? Sometimes a teacher may ask a question to the student right in the middle of the class. Get up, tell me answer to this question. And sometimes the teacher may say, next week is your exam, you can go and prepare. Okay.
Yes.
So we get both kinds of tests. So sometimes when we encounter certain unpleasant circumstances, and we are expected to respond appropriately on the spur of the moment towards this unpleasant circumstances. How effectively do we respond to such unpleasant circumstances depends on how mature we have become by sincerely performing our spiritual practices, by sincerely doing our sadhana. So that maturity comes as a product of our sincere sadhana. Maturity is not a product available on Amazon or Flipkart. Maturity comes by sincere sadhana, which includes chanting the holy names of Krishna, studying Gita Bhagavatam, and hearing from advanced devotees. So all this is a part of sadhana. So my humble suggestion to you is, please continue performing these sadhana practices. Please continue to chant the names of Krishna as attentively as humanly possible. Please continue to hear Harikatha from devotees as much as your time permits in your current situation. Please continue to read Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam as much as you are able to assimilate and understand. And Krishna will give the necessary strength to deal with such unpleasant circumstances in this world. So we need strength, we need that bandwidth, we need that inner resolve to fight with the unpleasant circumstances around us. And Krishna will definitely equip us with that ability, provided we perform our sadhana sincerely. Solution is same, bhakti. So eventually we may grow. But one thing is, if we happen to make some mistakes in life, that's not a failure. We can learn the lesson that the incident is teaching us and move on in life. Don't become overly depressed. Guilt has to be there if there is a mistake, but that guilt should lead to something positive and not degrade a person. So guilt should not get into depression. Guilt should actually bring out the best in us. Guilt should induce determination in us not to repeat that mistake as much as possible. So please continue. We empathize with you and we offer our prayers. But you please continue sadhana. Krishna will give you the necessary strength. Thank you, Mataji.
Sure, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. I think that reply will be helpful for many of them who are seeking like these questions. So thank you, Prabhuji. So the main thing is to be tolerant in whatever situations. As you said, when we are studying all these scriptures, but still when it comes into action, we lose ourselves at that time. So, but that is the time where we have to tolerate. That is what even we are hearing in all the lectures, and even our acharyas have told, and it is given in the scriptures also. So thank you, Prabhuji, for that. And Prabhuji, do you have time? We have 2 more hand raise. Okay, Shri Ishopanishad Mataji, please go ahead.
Jai Hare Krishna. Thank you so very much for that last response and last question. I have a request. My request is, I really appreciate your quoting the different verses, especially singing them in the meter that you use. So if you could be so kind as to reflect on a verse in the Sri Upanishad that's similar to what the verse is of today. And could you sing it in the meter for me, please? Or for us, please. Hare Krishna.
Sri Ishopanishad has multiple meters. Some of them are even prose kind of thing. They don't fit into Anushtup Chandaha, Anushtup Chanda, or any other chandas. So in Bhagavatam, you'll find shlokas of different meters. But Ishopanishad, like you see first shloka, Om Purnamadaha, you can recite in a meter. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate Ishavashamidam Sarvam Yatkincha Jagatyam Jagat Tena Tyaktena Bhunjita Magritaha Kasya Svidhanam. Like that, there are few verses that fit into certain meter. But at the end, it has to be recited in like a Vedic mantra, like Purusha Suktam and all that. So, yeah, this is about whatever I know about Upanishad's slokas.
Thank you so very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Shama
Yes,
Guri.
your shlokas are really
Hare
very
Krishna.
nice, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Yes, Shama
Hare
Guri Mataji.
Krishna.
Please go
Yeah,
ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Nandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Very, very beautiful class, Prabhuji. Very nice flow. And you were saying about when we go to Krishna, we should not ask about the material benefits. And thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you.
Thank you, Shyama Gauri Mataji, for connecting with us from India. Hope your Vrindavan trip was very blissful also.
That was Jagannath Puri.
Puri, yeah, Puri.
Bol, Hari Bol, Dandavat Namaste.
Mataji, I also missed you, Mataji, in Vrindavan. I wanted to see you, but missed you.
Hare Krishna. So next, Parima Mataji is there on the line. Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for this wonderful class. Very insightful. Prabhuji, I have this confusion since many days that Prabhuji, whatever wrong decisions we have made, was that our mistake, our destiny, or Krishna's will? How do we take it? Our wrong decisions. Sometimes we are given something, we reject it, we go for something else, and we suffer. So how do you call it? Should we call it our destiny? Was it destined? Was it our own current karma, or we accept it as Krishna's will?
Decision is not destiny. Destiny is the result of decision. We make certain decisions and we are destined to experience certain things. And while experiencing the result of our previous decisions, or in other words, while experiencing our destiny, which is a product of our past decisions, we still have an opportunity or an ability to make new decisions while experiencing. So you have taken a ticket to go from Hyderabad to Chennai. You have taken a decision. You have boarded the plane. Now you want to change your decision. You realize it's wrong. I want to go to Bangalore, not Chennai. But you cannot change that. You already sat in the plane and it's taking off. It's not an auto. You tell the auto, hey, not this way, take left turn and then go back. It's not auto rickshaw or a car or a cycle. Okay. So you sat in the airplane. So they will take you and leave you in Chennai only. They will not again come back. So then you purchase a ticket and come back. So the destiny is a result of past decisions. But while experiencing the result of your past decision, while experiencing the destiny, you still have a decision-making power. You sat in Chennai flight now, although you wanted to go to Bangalore. You sat in Chennai flight, you can read Prabhupada's book, you can listen to some kirtans, you can make friendship with your co-passenger, you can have a conversation with the air hostess or fight with them, right? Or complain or sleep. So there are 100 different things that you can do while experiencing the destiny, right? So at any given point of time, we have some free will. So utilizing that free will, utilizing the decision-making authority or free will creates our future destiny. Okay, this is one point. So as far as Krishna's will is concerned, the decisions made by very advanced devotees, very elevated devotees, are influenced by Krishna's will. Means advanced devotees, pure devotees are very much in sync, very much in harmony with Krishna's heart. Therefore, their decisions and Krishna's decisions are one. Okay. But as far as conditioned souls are concerned, generally their decisions are a product of their misusing of their free will. As far as practicing devotees are concerned, it's a combination of both. Sometimes Krishna's will may be there, sometimes our own free will may be there, sometimes it's a combination of both. It's like that. Sadhaka, how mature is he in his sadhana, how pure is he in his consciousness, all that will decide. But it's for sure, a conditioned soul's decision is a product of his misuse of free will. And for a pure devotee, his decisions or her decisions are basically Krishna's will. But for sadhaka, he's somewhere in the middle. Okay, Mataji.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you for this wonderful clarification, Prabhuji. And Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. I don't find any more questions in the chat or hand raise. But there is a question from Jayanti Singla Mataji asking for number. I hope, Mataji, you can go to Prabhupada's YouTube lectures and you can find over there. Hopefully, you can mail to Prabhuji. Prabhuji, thank you so much for your valuable time and association, and thank you for such a beautiful class and Q&A session also. Very patiently you were sitting here all the questions. So devotees, let's pay our obeisances to Prabhuji. One
Bhasya kripa sindhita eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Bhasya ki jai.
Jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam. Hare Krishna.
Nityananda,
Wonderful class.
Nityananda,
Thank you,
Gauranga.
Prabhuji. Hare